Good afternoon. We're going to go over this week's watch list for the week of October 12th. Tomorrow is a holiday. Tomorrow is Columbus Day in the States and Thanksgiving in Canada tomorrow. The markets are open, regular time, nothing different. Volume may be light. Now I have a fairly small bullish and bearish side. I think this week is going to be very news dependent. It's going to be on if there's lockdowns happening, if there's stimulus news. I mean, the last week has been nothing but stimulus noise. We have it, we don't, we agree, we don't, and back and forth. And I'm sure that the same kind of games is going to happen this week. And COVID-19 cases and deaths are rising dramatically, and I think that you're going to end up seeing lockdowns. I know that the World Health Organization saying that lockdowns aren't really necessary, or they reverse their opinion on it, but it doesn't really matter because states are gonna do what they want, and they're gonna, if they start getting numbers and then they start panicking, they're gonna start closing state by state. And one of the things I was pondering earlier this morning was, what if they start closing down states and lockdowns and there's no stimulus relief? The market's not going to like that. There could be some big volatility this week, but like I said, it's going to be all news dependent. I would be careful being in with size, because as we've seen this past week, that you can be on the long side and look good, then something goes wrong, or a lockdown or a stimulus fails or something like that, and everything just dives. Or you could be short and thinking that everything's going to just fall apart, and then the stimulus, actually there's traction, and something happens and the market pops. So it's literally going to be flipping a coin all week long. Play small, play smart, watch for the news, listen for the news. If you're not in the room, the link is in the description of this video. You can also find a Discord link on my Twitter and StockTwits profile in the bio section. So with that said, we'll start with the bullish, actually the bearish side, because I have that part faced up. So Costco, now I've ran my scans and I see a lot of bearish divergences, and when I start seeing them on multiple time frames and multiple indicators, they start having a higher probability of it happening. So Costco, it's making a higher high, RSI is making a lower low, MACD is, kind of doing the same thing. It's making a lower high, and if you look at the weekly MACD right here, the histogram right here is diverging, it's making higher highs. So not saying that Costco will definitely dump this week. I'm just saying there's a divergence. Divergences can last days, weeks, even a month plus, so it's there, be aware. So if it does manage to drop under, I would say probably the 306 area, push to the 363 to even the 360 area, and if it really starts getting really scary and it starts selling off like it did right here, I would say the next big area would be the 360, probably the 350, and then probably down to the 345 on Costco if that happens, if the market's weak. Target, another one that's got a huge bearish divergence, as you can see right here, higher high, and RSI lower low, lower low, lower high, sorry. So you can see right here, it's making a higher high off that, and right here, the RSI is making a lower high as it's making higher high. So it's diverging on MACD, stochastics, RSI, multiple indicators. So I would watch for it probably under the 162. If he does get under 162, 157 to 155 would probably be a big support. If it does manage to break the 155, next area is 150, then probably down to the 145 if target reverses. Now this is all going to be market, if the market's weak, these are the ones I'm going to be watching. So BABA is another one. I know BABA's been strong. It's been struggling at 300, And if the market's weak, I mean, BABA could fall apart. But also, BABA could break out too. So be on the lookout that it can break out. But the RSI, as you can see, it's diverging. MACD, histogram is diverging. MACD is diverging. Stochastics, I mean, it's diverging on the weekly. I mean, there's divergences everywhere. But like I say over and over, they can diverge longer than you think. So just don't jump in it short and think it's going to dump, because you need to wait for some kind of confirmation, and that would be under 297. Under 297, yeah, we can say 297.50, but I would say 297 for a push down to the 292, 290, and 285. Now it probably will bounce at the 285 if BABA is weak. Now I know that holiday season's coming, and BABA usually does pretty good, but we'll have to see what happens. Stimulus will have a big effect on it. ROKU is just going crazy, diverging. Let me see. No, it's not diverging. This one is not. But if you get this big gap up right here, though, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just think that it's just gone too far, and it needs to pull back at least to the 175 area. So it's the weekly RSI is over 74. I mean, every time it gets the RSI gets into the 70s, it has a pullback right there, and back here. So I mean, I'm looking at the same thing to happen, that the RSI is really high, and it should fill this gap. So if the market's weak, I would look for it under 220 for a gap fill at 212, then to push to 210, and then probably 200 if it can get that far. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. Now Baidu is another one. As BABA's been strong, and this is a China stock too. Baidu, it's a search engine. It's not doing very well compared to BABA. Obviously, I mean, they're both China stocks, but they do different things. But I would be watching this under 126 for a push down to the 120s, and if that even managed to break, that you probably could retest these 117 areas. It's just been sitting in this little channel for the last, I don't know, since July. So I don't imagine it's going to break out. It could. I could be wrong. It could break out, but I definitely would look for it on the short side on that. Now, CAT, I hate trading this thing because it just does not very good to me. But there is a divergence going on. RSI right there, making higher highs, lower highs. The histogram is fairly flat. So MACD's get a little bit of a divergence. So I would be watching that underneath 157.50 for a gap fill into 156. Now, if it does end up selling off, I would watch the area around 150 to 144 on CAT. Now on the bullish side, I have, as we were talking about the COVID-19, Clorox is still on radar. I mean, as it gets ramping up, people are going to need more bleach, more cleaning supplies, and so I would definitely be watching Clorox over this 216 for push to 220. It gets to 220, I would think 223. Then you're going to have big resistance into the 230 area, and if it does manage to get out of that, I mean, it's got you get the is that the all-time? Yeah, the all-time high is to 240 area. 239.87 is the all-time high, so it could go to 240. But definitely watch that over the 216 area, 217 area for a breakout until push to 220 on that. Now, earnings season's coming up. The banks are reporting this week, and Netflix, as crazy as it is, it likes to do earning run-ups. The last ER. I mean, it ran up to, what was it? Wait a minute. Yeah, right here. This one right here. Earnings ran up to 575. So, I mean, even though, you're having some, there's a slight divergence. No, actually, no, there's no divergence right there because it's not higher than that. The RSI still got room to go up. That histogram looks pretty good. But I would be watching, let me check to see if there's a yeah, see, I'm seeing a little bit of a divergence on the weekly. You see right here, it's fairly flat, and it's like going down. It's even red down here on the weekly. But I'm thinking that we're gonna have the like right back here. We have earnings right here, and it ran up a week or two before. So I would be watching Netflix over 242 for a push to the 250. Then you get 260, and if it does a strong ER running, it's probably going to end up going to 580. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Netflix make out one of these kind of big monster candles right here. Because look at this right back here. What day was this? This was 4/13 and reported on. Yeah, report. That's like a week. So earnings, I think on Netflix, I think, let me look it up really quickly. Netflix earnings, I think that is like, yeah, the 20th. Yeah, so it should run this week. It should. Doesn't mean it will. So don't go heavy in calls and find out, oh, it's not going to go up. And if there's any news that comes out, it could put a big damper on an earnings run. So that is a possibility too. BA, just the stock is just so bipolar. It cannot get over the 170, and if it does, it can't clear the 180. It's just waiting for FAA news and Max related, the go ahead, the green light, and all kinds of stuff. But it's just it just can't get any traction. But when it does, it's going to catch everyone off guard, and it's going to make a strong run. And it makes a strong run, it's going to end up. I'd watch it over the 171 area for push to 175. I'd be careful with the 175 area. And it's been rejecting that. If it does manage to get through, 180 will be very tough. And if it manages to get through that, you get the next one of 188. And if it manages to get through that, it's going to go to 200. So this also will be very dependent on any news coming out with stimulus. I know the last time that they weren't going to group the airlines in with the stimulus package. It was going to be standalone. Something like that. This has been so much news with stimulus. I can't keep up with it. It's ridiculous. But just take one day at a time. Let's see. Tesla is the next one. Now Tesla, you have like a symmetrical triangle. You can draw the line right here and right here. If it gets any good news, I'd watch it over 440 and gets over. You get like a little cup and handle right here. It gets over 440. You get this one that could go up to let's say the 450. And then you have another possible cup and handle right here on the hourly. So over 450, you could go to 460, even the 470 area. So I would watch that on Tesla. I mean, you got a cup and handle inside of a cup and handle. So a little one and a bigger one. So. And you can see it on the daily right here, the cup and the handle right there, and it gets over 450, it's going to take off. So I would definitely watch Tesla. Now Lilly, they had news about they're having close to having a vaccine, or not vaccine, what was the actual news? Let me look it up. I was just looking at this morning. I just want to make sure I have my... Yeah, it says Lilly antibody treatments for COVID-19 could be ready soon. So it's getting hyped up for that. So it's got a gap right here to fill the 162 area. So, I mean, it could pull back because the RSI is over 80. So it could come back and down and fill this gap. So be cautious of that. It had 3 good runs in a row, 3 good green days in a row. It could pull back a little before going, so it's possible it could come down to the 154 before rocking up to the 160 plus. But if more good news comes out, I mean, I would watch it over the high of Friday, which is 157.15, for push to 160. And if it gets in the 160, get a 162.50 area, then you get the 164. And you get to 167. So you have to be careful. Lilly, I mean, it's already on the hourly, is very, very overbought. So the RSI could cool down a little bit. Like I said, come back down and retest the 150 area before taking off. So I'd be careful on Lilly, but that is one. Walmart, can I say Christmas season's coming up? If there is another lockdown or store closures and stuff like that, people are going to flock to Walmart, online or not, even with Amazon and Shopify, which I don't have either one on the watch list, but they're pretty much the same as last week, so you got to just watch for along, buy the dips on them. Anyways, you get like a little cup and handle right here. You see, here's the cup, and you get the handle, and it gets over the I would say over the 140. You could even go over this high right here. What day was that? Thursday's high. I would even go over, over 144, and it gets over to the 145. I mean, it could shoot up to 150 really fast. So now that I know Walmart's trying to compete with Amazon Prime, so maybe things will start picking up if when Christmas season starts getting closer, and if the more stores end up voluntarily closing and stuff like that for that. So last one is Facebook. Facebook, look at the hourly. I mean, you get a little inverted head and shoulders right here. You get the left, the head, and the right. It's flat right here. It's consolidating. I think it gets over this 265 area. It's going to get to the 268. And then you have this other like cup and handle. So you get an inverted head and shoulders inside a cup and handle. So if it gets over this 268 level, it's going to end up pushing to obviously the 270s, then the 275 right there. If it gets up at 275, I mean, you get to 280s, and let's see. Yeah, see, Facebook doesn't really have an earnings run up like Netflix, so, but it could have a technical breakout right here. So I would definitely be watching that on Facebook as well. So, but like I said, that's going to do it for the watch list. This week is going to be very news dependent. If you're going to be in a position, be there to monitor that and get ready to get out if something happens against you or for you. Because even if something does manage to, say the stimulus bill does not pass and the market dumps, it has a violent recovery. So you don't want to sit there and say, oh, the market's going to dump, it's going to go to 300, and then it just dumps like 5 points, and all of a sudden, boom, it's back up, and it actually recovered 4, so it only dumped 1 point. So market's been having violent recoveries, and same with the pops. You get these violent pops, then they just start selling off. So you got to be careful of that. I think, let's look at SPY. I mean, SPY is up against the RCT trend line. It's getting there. It's at actually 350. So 350 level will be really hard for it to break if it gets there. But yeah, I would be very careful about. I mean, look right here. This was a bit stimulus. And I think that something right here, what day was this? Let me just double check. Yeah. It was something to do with the stimulus right there. So yeah, I mean, things can turn around really, really fast. So just be cautious of that. That's going to do it for the watch list video. I hope this helped, and see you in the room. Thanks.